Hi, and welcome to Australia's first Let's Talk Tiny Houses podcast. My name is Christine, and ever since laying eyes on my first tiny house, I wanted to know more about the movement, the lifestyle, the communities, and most of all, how I can go tiny. While on my tiny journey, gathering information and meeting amazing like-minded people, I started thinking, apart from my business, how could I contribute back to the movement? Then I was introduced to podcasting, and that was my light bulb moment. I'm so thrilled that through this podcast, I am able to bring you an amazing cast of co-hosts who all bring their own unique skills, knowledge, and advice to each episode. All of us are extremely passionate about the tiny house movement and want to share our experience, expertise, and enthusiasm with our listeners. Each week, we will bring you a special guest interview or particular hot topic discussion that relates to tiny living for your listening pleasure. Okay, let's jump in and find out who we have with us this week. Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk Tiny Houses. I'm so excited. Our special guest today is Leon King, the owner and founder of Rolling Homes Australia. Now, Rolling Homes Australia build artisan, crafted, bespoke, luxury tiny homes and gypsy wagons. They're built with comfort and utility in mind, and they're stylish, practical, and affordable. I love their motto, uniting modern living with old world charm. So I'm so pleased to see Leon again this week. We're so excited. So hi,
Thank
Leon,
you.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me. And
You're
it's good to be
welcome.
here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Patty sends her hellos and best wishes and everything. She's at work today, so it's yourself and I, which is really awesome. So we first met at the Tiny Homes Carnival down in St Ives in March, and you were one of the really standout displays there. And Patty and I just loved the little gypsy wagon. It was so gorgeous inside and out. So we had to go up and talk to you and flag that we wanted to do an interview. So for those of you who may not have seen you at the carnival or found you in the tiny homes community yet, could you just give us a little background of yourself and how you came to the community and how Rolling Homes came to be?
Yeah, no worries. We started only less than a year ago, and we started building a gypsy wagon, and that was our first product, what you saw there at the carnival. And we had a blast at the carnival. It was so appreciated for them to put that on for all of us builders, because it was really progressive for us. Like, we met a lot of people, even a lot of other builders. It was so good to talk to everybody in the industry. So we started out with the gypsy wagon. We worked with a really cool creative couple in Queensland who are in the sort of the festival industry up there, and we were looking to build a product that catered to Airbnb and festival accommodation. So that's really what that was based around, that gypsy wagon, and really the style of it, the fun side, getting artists involved in the project and really building something collaboratively. So that was great fun. And now we're moving into the tiny houses. So like you can see behind me, we've started our first big tiny house build. So we're pretty excited about that one. And yeah, we're going to move forward and see what we can bring out with that.
Yeah, there's an awesome story behind that tiny house that we'll go into in a little bit. But one of the standout features of your gypsy wagon that Patty and I were just both loved was the material for the ceiling inside the wagon. We walked in and we just felt really cozy, and it was so comforting and welcoming. And then we kind of realized part of that coming from that material on the ceiling was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It did bring a really nice touch to the wagon. You get a lot of wood in tiny houses and even the gypsy wagons too. There's a lot of wood, and it's kind of like wood can become a little bit masculine. So we sort of, by bringing in that material layer and picking a really nice nice material, it sort of brings a little bit more of that feminine side in, and it creates that kind of cozy and nice feel. And you finish them out with some nice colors and some plants, some indoor plants, and they're just such a beautiful space to be in.
Yeah, and it was lovely. I loved the where the bed is. There's the little part underneath, and I saw lots of kids like just going straight to that area, and they were like, "Oh, Mom, look, this is so
Yeah.
cool."
A little
Yeah,
cupboard. Yeah,
yeah,
you can put 2 kids under there if you've got 2 kids, or you can actually flip them up, chuck some bean bags under, put a little screen on the wall. You could have a little movie zone down there. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure, that part of it.
yeah. That's awesome. And when we turned, you had little lights in there as well, and that really brought out the design in the material, which was like another. So during the day, it's like this subtle effect, and then at night, it's like this beautiful lit up design. It's birds. Is it birds?
Yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
cranes flying on the material.
Oh, cool.
And those old antique kind of lights with the nice glass in them just bring a really nice feel, and you get a warm light in there, and it's just makes it so comfortable. You don't want to leave. Most people didn't want to leave. Actually, it was hilarious. You couldn't get them out of the wagon. They'd go in, and there'd be a big line of people, and you'd have to go, "Can you guys come back out again? There's more."
Yeah, and just touching on the carnival, it was fantastic, wasn't it? Like the
Yeah.
amount of builders that were there, and then the amount of attendees that turned up, and how then on the Sunday had to put up like little ropes to guide everyone through the lines and everything.
It's unbelievable. There's so many more people turned up than we really expected.
Yeah,
They opened the gates and they came like at you like a crowd, a mob coming to get you, and they went straight in the door, and they're looking around everything. They're looking at everything. So
yeah,
it was the cool crowd. I loved talking to all the different people there, and to a really diverse range of people interested in a variety of different ways. People are building their own tiny house and coming to look for ideas. People are interested in the industry, anything. Yeah.
yeah, totally. No, we had an awesome time. So for myself, I came into the tiny world about 2.5, 3 years ago, and my first insight into it was like many, the TV shows like Tiny House Nation and Bryce's YouTube channel, finding it like that and just being like, what is this world I've never heard of before, and it's so awesome. So what was your introduction to the tiny world?
Well, it's funny. I sort of came in the same way. I was looking at what was happening in America. I was looking at these tiny houses that are getting built. I really am interested in that kind of building and construction industry, but also in the creative side and renovation and all of this. Like half of Australia, I love that. But tiny houses grab you because they are like the whole big picture compressed into a smaller environment, and you can already feel the fun that you can have with tiny houses before you even get too far involved. They're very attractive things. So back in 2017, I think it was, I was doing a job, and I was actually staying in a caravan park, and I started workshopping my idea of tiny houses, and I think that's when I actually first wrote out the Rolling Homes name down on paper, and decided that was going to be my business name.
Yeah, that's
But
perfect.
really, I was there with one of my good friends that we worked together, and we were living in these caravans, and we're spending so much more time outdoors than what we do. I think we spend so much time indoors. Houses, they're kind of only got so many windows, and you got a roof over your head, and they're quite encapsulating. And by being in a smaller environment, you tend to step outside more often. And we were cooking outside, we were hanging outside at night, looking at the stars, and it was a blast. And I really, got more feeling for the industry there, and started my brain churning. 2 years later, we're into it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I think that's a big thing as well, that and probably why the carnival was so successful. People really need to be in them, don't they? You need to get in it and get that feeling. Like, you can, looking at it on the TV is great, but you really, to get the whole feel, getting in it and getting in the community makes a massive difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to get in them. And that's when your feeling changes. You go, oh, now I get it. Now I know why people go tiny. And, you can pro and con it to death by looking at pictures on the internet, but really you go and get in a tiny house and feel what that environment feels like. And it's fun. It's a nice side of life.
Yeah. Oh, we love it. So I can see that you're talking to us today from your work shed, which is awesome. And I know the great light structure behind you. You made that, which is awesome. But I was wondering, did you, so July last year when you started the business, did you start from the work shed or did you start from another premises?
No, we actually rented this workshop. I went through a bunch of different ideas and realized in the end that there was no way I was going to build this in a different environment. I thought, well, if we're going to build tiny houses and we're going to, potentially churn them out, we're going to need a good workshop environment. So we found a good sized workshop and locked it in and moved in, bought a bunch of new tools, which is, pretty exciting for any tradie out there. And unwrap those. It's like Christmas for me and Tony and got stuck into it.
Oh, that's awesome. And you mentioned Tony there, and I saw on your website you mentioned Uncle Tony, and I believe that's your wife's uncle.
Yeah, absolutely. He's my wife's uncle. He's a fantastic guy, so fun, one of those people that's just a blast to work with and a blast to be around. He's got a wide knowledge base, so he's fantastic for me because I don't know all the answers, and what I don't know, I go to Tony, and usually Tony knows. Or if not, we just we think about it together, and we always come up with a good solution, a good scenario, and a good looking solution too, which is what you want.
Yeah, and when we spoke the other day, you were mentioning that your little boy comes to the work shed, and you love part of working for yourself and part of doing what you're doing. He jumps in the tiny, and then you can spend some time with him.
It's probably my biggest joy in being able to work for yourself is actually my wife and my son can drop. He's only 2.5, and he blasts through the door, and we can drop tools and just spend half an hour having fun. We set up swings on the rafters and push him around, and they come in for lunch. He climbs the ladders and climbs up the tiny houses. He's always going, "Dad, I like your wagon." Or, your boy comes in and gives you a comment like that, you're pretty chuffed.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so, thinks all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. So going to the tiny that's behind you, could you give us the story behind that tiny?
Yeah, love to. Look, we're building this for a wonderful lady, Karen, down the road, about half an hour down, lives in Milton Ulladulla area. So she was directly affected by the bushfires. She had a tiny house project she was doing. She had a few renovations she was undertaking to it, but she was halfway to going tiny, and the bushfires swept through and 100% destructed that dream for her. So it really it took its toll. But I guess fortunately, and one of the positive things was that the world came together and really helped out, and she managed to receive some funding, some grant money, because the fundraising was so successful, and that really helped her get back in and get back on her tiny house dream, and we're lucky enough to be undertaking that build for her.
Oh, so it's such a sad but wonderful story at the same time.
Yeah, and when I drove down to see her the other day, and we got lucky. We live just off to the side. The bushfire kind of swept through and out. We kind of stayed green, magically. But when I drove down there, I thought, and people that have gone through will understand, those bushfires, they cause a lot of havoc and they're very destructive. But when you go through later, it's that there's all this new green coming out, all this new life, and that's really unreal to see with your own eyes. When you drive through there and you see all that beautiful new life coming back, then that's that rebuilding process, and we have to go through that time and time again in our lives. And it's good to kind of understand and get a feel for that. And Karen's going through that same growth process, and you know, you have to somewhat let go and move forward and rebuild. So yeah.
Yeah. And to the residents who were living around there and who were affected, all that new growth would just be so uplifting for them that they're
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
the light now. Yeah. Oh,
Oh, I'm sure it's so hard for them, and maybe that's not, you know, enough, but that, it's something, you know, like
yes,
it's something to we keep growing and keep building.
that's right. Exactly. So are you able to give us some of the dimensions and specs of that tiny?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Really?
it's a 6.5 meter long, probably an odd size, but it's a 6.5 meter long tiny house, max width as they all are, 2.5 overall, and it's got two lofts. It's got a double loft in it. She's got like an artisan sort of creative zone up the top, with the bathroom, laundry, toilet, shower underneath, and then the kitchen kind of comes out from there. And what we've got is because she's got two dogs. One of them's a bit old, and they sleep on her bed. As dog people will know, that's somewhat of a priority for some people, as ours does. So.
Yeah.
The bed's down on the bottom level there. It's a nice big window down the bottom, so she can open that in the morning and wake up to beautiful surrounding. And above her is actually another loft, and that's like a living zone, a lounging, couple of couches. There's lots of windows up there again. It's got big bifolding doors, so there's just heaps of light coming in. And yeah, so we've had to come up with one sort of creative solution. Well, one major one, I say. We've come up with probably 100 creative solutions to different problems,
Yeah.
but the kitchen kind of was getting squashed out a bit, and we were struggling with the arrangement of the space. And so Tony and I came back one day, and we've gone, oh, you know, like, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? And this is just one of those things with tiny houses, is you're really trying to get the maximum use out of all of your space. Everything's doing something. There's hardly any clear wall space for you to, you know, you've almost got to allocate if you want to put a painting up. So,
Yeah, do.
so we've got a bit of a breakfast bar thing happening, and it wasn't working out in our eyes. So we sort of workshopped it. We're going, you know what? Let's sort of smash the box and sort of jump outside of there for a minute, and what could we do if we weren't bound by these rules that we kind of made up in our own heads? And by doing that, it allowed us to sort of rethink the whole thing, and we came up with a kind of a unique solution on how we can, you know, make some of the kitchen actually move around and reconfigure different shapes, which will allow for, you know, what you're doing at the time. It could be you're cooking, it could be you're having a drink with a friend, a coffee, you could be working at your desk. You're doing all of those different activities within the same sort of area. So it's kind of handy to have spaces be able to morph a little bit into what you're doing at the time. So yeah, we're excited to play with that idea now and see if we can bring that to life and make it work.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure you will. That's awesome. That's one of the best things. That's one of the things that appeals to me about Tinies, is that it really is a reflection of yourself and all your needs and how you're living, like the life that you really want to be living. So that's some of the fun about it, all these little customizable, creative ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
you can bring your own yourself out in it. And it's so attractive to us as builders because they're just a really fun thing to play with and to build. It's also super attractive to somebody who wants to go tiny because it's like you get to do an architectural build, which in reality in a house scenario would cost you like, you know, in excess of $1 million potentially. And you can, by compressing that down, you know, you can spend 1/10 of that and do some architectural design elements and beautiful building and bring out your own ideas and creativity in just a smaller shell. And you can actually move that around to the type of environment you want to live in, which is fantastic too.
Yeah. So is Karen, is she planning on moving the tiny much, or does she have a location that she'd like to have it there for a little while?
Yeah, she's got a bush block down there that she's going to be living on. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, who knows what is in tail for the future? So she might not even know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's the
well,
beauty of it, isn't it?
that's right. That's right. Well, she's
Yeah,
always got that option, which is fantastic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So from the carnival, because it was only a couple of weeks, the carnival was only a couple of weeks before we all started ramping up over here with the lockdown with coronavirus and things like that.
yeah.
Had you uh, generated quite a lot of contacts or interest in from clients from the carnival, and has there been any effect from the coronavirus on that with yourself?
Yeah, we talked to hundreds of people there, and anybody that liked, what we did, and wanted to keep in touch. We got the details to people that were interested in different ideas or products we were potentially bringing out or going to bring out. So that was great for us, and we've got a bit more of a market to be able to show our builds as we go, and people that are interested. The connections with all the different people in the industry, other builders, suppliers, and some of the regulatory figures that are kind of helping that side of it, is that was really priceless for me. I just really like interacting with the different people in the industry. I think together it's almost one of those industries where most of us are all sort of happy to talk, and it's not like we're fighting for business or anything. We're actually fighting for all of us to be allowed to move forward. As builders, we need a little bit more regulation around, so that there's some understanding from people that want to go tiny about how they can do it. There doesn't seem to be a real good rule book there so far. They're kind of going with the caravan rules, which aren't really catered to tiny house living. So yeah, it was great. It was a great event to connect with a diverse range of people, and that was really enjoyable for us.
Yeah. And did something really exciting come from that carnival for you as well?
Yes, we did have somebody approach us about and filming this build that we're doing right now, and it worked out that the story was kind of cool as well, and our style was what they were sort of interested in. So we are going to be featured on a popular Australian TV show. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say which one yet, but I probably am. Anyway,
Gotta
yeah,
keep
so
some
we're looking
secrets.
forward. That's right. We're looking forward to that. So people have to stay tuned, and we'll let that out of the bag as soon as they say we can.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations on that. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
There'll be some good exposure for us, and hopefully that can help us get the ball rolling with our business here.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. And I know when we went to the airport, Patty and I are up in Brisbane, and there were people there was a couple we saw there, and they had the husband is in Melbourne at the moment, or was at that time, and the wife is up here in Brisbane. And they had both flown to Sydney to go to the carnival, and then they were both flying back to their respective states for the time. But there were other people there too, because Patty and I still had our shirts on. They're like, "Hey, tiny houses!" It's like, yeah. And so it was really interesting to hear people flying from other states to come and see it. And we were talking about yourselves and the wagon, because like that was probably the best feature that we saw, that just that material inside and the coziness and the whole feel of the wagon really stuck with us, and it stuck with other people too. It was amazing, and they were like, yeah, how cool was Leon? We're like, yeah.
Oh, great.
It was awesome. So yeah, it was
Cool to hear.
You've left an impression on many people, which is fantastic.
Right. Well, we'll have to leave a bigger impression in the future too.
Yeah, awesome. So you did a little live the other day giving everyone an update of what's happening, and that you'll be keeping us posted on the build behind you and other things that are popping up with Rolling Homes. So everyone, we love those. Keep those up. And
yeah, we want to start to actually develop our social media side. I know people can be interested in watching how this industry evolves and what people are doing. And there's just so many ideas that it is actually interesting to watch what builders and people and people building their own houses are really doing, and the ideas that are coming out, because it's really cool.
Yeah. I like these little furniture painting pages. So different brands, is like those chalk paints, and they just have the from all over the world, they're different artists, and you just sit and watch them paint all the furniture and do their designs and things like that. Can totally see something like that.
We were going to bring a blank gypsy wagon to one of those festivals and have somebody paint it actually there at the expo. I thought that would be a pretty cool idea, because we really like the whole bringing the artists on board. I used to be in the scene a little bit, doing a little bit of sculptural work and working amongst a space where artists were working, and they're like great people. They're so creative. What artists come out with is unreal. Like where they tap into to get that is, I don't know. But watching them work is cool, and we want to bring some more work their way by going, well, can we incorporate mural art and that within our wagons, and that's something we're going to push to keep with the whole time, because it's it makes a really cool point of difference, and it's another aspect that that brings some of your personality. And so we worked with a client recently, and they liked particular type of art, wildflowers, Australian wildflowers and native birds, and we found a really cool local artist that interpreted that for us in a fantastic way, and the wagon came out looking great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that's sort of joins up with another great thing for Tinies that we were discussing the other day, that you can go a bit luxe with them because you're working in such smaller quantities. So although it's smaller, it doesn't mean you can't go without or go over the top if you want it. Like, you can really have what you want.
That's right. Yeah. You can choose nice materials that that don't come at a premium price because of the quantity you're using. Like Tony and I laugh in the workshop here. We go to build a little porch, a little veranda on the end of our wagon, and away we go. Half an hour later, we're actually finished. So, and then we stand back and go, oh, look at that, how good are we? And, we could have chosen the nicest timber at a could be an expensive price, but we only needed 12 pieces of 1 meter long. So that is a great aspect.
Ah, we love it. Well, was there anything that we haven't covered off that you wanted to mention? I think might have gone. Yeah,
we're pretty good. Look, just what we're doing now and where we're going. I'm really interested in trying to work now on developing, because like these are tiny houses, and tiny houses, we sort of build them the same way as we build houses, but I feel like that we can do a lot of work there. There's a lot of work to be done, and they're not the same parameters as a house. We have different parameters here. We've got to cater to weight ratios and different things like that. So I'm pretty interested in now going down the rabbit hole of different materials and looking at how we can expand the way we build and, reduce weight and bring in the ability to chip and change things easier and faster, and maybe modularing certain things, but still keeping that kind of creative aspect. So that's where we're looking to go now. And we're just designing a product because of Corona and a lot of people are working from home now. We're just in the process of designing like a rolling, call it the rolling office. But yeah, like a little office space that you could roll in and work from home. I mean, some of the people that have transitioned into working from home, they might find that they don't want to go back to the workplace. I think once you work from home, I used to work afar, and even working in the same town, once I started that, I was like, what was I doing? I'm never leaving again. So I can only imagine when you walk out your own door and then walk into your office door 10 meters away, you'd be pretty happy about that. So we're going to design and bring out a product that's catered to the people that are, stuck in that place right now. And so yeah, there's so much, like I say, there's so much room to explore, and we're just excited to be in here and be in the industry and working with anybody in the industry to bring new ways to build and do work. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're so happy that we've met you, and welcome to the community. It's just going to be, it's just going to be up, and super. And we can't wait to see more builds and everything you've got going on, because it's just fantastic. And we love your vibe and everything about it. So good on you, Leon. So good.
We're happy to meet you too. It's fantastic to talk, and it's always good talking to a bubbly personality, and so yeah, and anytime, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Leon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll add all your links and socials and everything like that to the show notes, and when we put it up on our socials, and we're on YouTube now, so it'll be on there as well.
Cool.
So that's really exciting. It's only been about the last 3 weeks we've put everything onto YouTube, and it's going well. So
excellent.
Taking over the world one little step at a time.
One tiny step at a time.
Okay, Leon. Well, we'll sign off for now, but we'll certainly stay in touch, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, great.
Wow, what a great episode. I would like to thank you for listening, and I really hope you enjoyed this week's discussion. I would like to now invite you over to our exclusive Facebook group, where you as our listeners will be able to interact with us, each other, see photos and additional extras that accompany each episode, and be the first to know what we have coming up. If there is a particular topic you would like to hear more about, or someone you think we need to interview, please drop us a line at letstalktinyhouses@gmail.com or via our Facebook group. You can find this podcast series on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. And while you're there, please show your love by giving us a rating. Hopefully it's 5 stars. Our show notes will be available on Podbean, along with any podcast corrections and amendments. The Let's Talk Tiny Houses podcast is brought to you by myself, Christine Murphy, and my business, OCD, Organising, Cleaning and Decluttering Specialist, which can be found on Facebook or through my website, ocdpro.com.au. I would like to thank all my co-hosts for their amazing contributions, and Joanne Helder for editing all our audio and making us sound so fabulous. Until next week, please take care and enjoy yourself.